Hi guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe, and today I'm doing another NFL mock draft, 7 rounds, 2024 for our beloved, bless you boys, in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints. I'm doing this one. I've done this one on NFL Draft Buzz, and these are the draft picks they have for the Saints. It's not exactly what is posted everywhere. Once the compensatory picks come out, then everything after the third round is probably going to fluctuate and change a little bit. Some of the sites predict the Saints will get a late fourth round comp. Most of them say it'll be fifth round comp, sixth round comp, seventh round comps. So on this site, we start with 8 picks. One of the comp picks is a late fourth. And so that's where this site varies from the other sites. I'm of the belief that the Saints are going to have 9 total picks, not 8, and we won't have one late in the fourth round. We'll end up having a couple of fifth rounders, a couple of sixth rounders, a couple of seventh rounders. But for this exercise, we're going with these 8 picks. And whether we actually have a late fourth round pick or whether they're all in the fifth round, sixth round, seventh round, the Saints are still in a bad spot when it comes to draft picks. So I'm under the assumption we are going to trade Marshawn Lattimore. Now, the smart thing to do would be to trade him after a certain date, right before the next season starts. It wouldn't affect this draft. And we can save like another $10 million if we made that move. However, the Saints have restructured Derek Carr's contract, which frees up another $20 to $25 million. And I believe the Saints have enough restructures in mind to get within cap compliance. And I actually think that this gets us there way quicker. But if we were going to be under the cap with 10 or 20 million to play with, well, now I feel like we've got 30 or 40 to play with. So this move for Derek Carr, restructuring him, which, by the way, is going to have him with the Saints for at least 2 more years. I'm going to go ahead and take advantage of this, and I'm going to trade Marshawn Lattimore before this draft. There's lots of teams interested in a Pro Bowl starting cornerback. You get Marshawn Lattimore on your team, you don't have to worry about whether he's a draft pick that's going to work out. If you are a team looking for a cornerback and you have multiple high-round picks, then Marshawn Lattimore is obviously an option. And I had a few teams to talk to, and I managed to work out a deal with Arizona. Now, if you're a fan of the Saints or a fan of Arizona and you don't like this, well, there are trades in this draft that I'm doing. I will offer a trade to move up, but I'm going to only receive offers to move back. So I'm not going to move back unless somebody wants to move up, and then we'll negotiate a trade from there. But if I move up, I'm in complete control of what's getting offered. I think it's fair that way because you can manipulate these drafts. You can trade back with the team right next to you every time and get a fourth round pick, and you can do it 7 times. The next thing you know, you have 20-something picks. Okay, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to trade back unless somebody really wants to move up. But I will make the offers to move up myself. So before the draft starts, I'm moving Marshawn Lattimore, cornerback, to Arizona. They have 2 first-round draft picks. They've got several picks in the second round, third round, fourth round. It's the perfect team to trade with. They have the draft capital to move. And you get Marshawn Lattimore on your team, and you can forget about that side of the field because you've got yourself a shutdown corner. And that's what Arizona's getting. He's a Pro Bowl player, and he's still in the prime of his career. And the Saints, in return, are going to get the 27th overall pick in the first round. We're going to get the 71st overall pick in the third round. And I managed to squeeze a 6th-round pick out of them as well. This is the deal. Arizona gets a great cornerback. And now the Saints have 3 extra picks added. Now we're talking about 2 first-rounders, a 2nd-rounder, a 3rd-rounder. And that's what I'm looking for. We need picks before the 5th round, not just a 1st-rounder, a 2nd-rounder, and then don't pick again until the end of the 4th or the 5th. Now we've got ourselves some picks. Now I can package picks and move up. I can do all kinds of stuff. So the draft begins. we are at 14. And when the 14th pick comes to us, we have a couple of offers to move back. There's one guy that's available that I'm tempted to get with 14. Offensive tackle Talise Fuaga. I think he's a good player. I think he's going to be a solid player. A guy you can start right away and who's not going to fail miserably. So I'm tempted, but like I said, I love the tackle class in this draft. I know you can get good tackles late in the 1st and into the 2nd. So I have to entertain these trade offers. And Pittsburgh is one. They're picking at 20, and they want to move up to 14. They have a guy in mind. I'm assuming it's Fuaga. So either I'm going to grab Fuaga or I'm going to give him up to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's willing to give me a 3rd-rounder and a 4th-rounder. And at that point, I'm like, okay, let's do it. So I get the 20th overall pick in round 1, 84th pick in round 3, the 120th pick in round 4. And for that, Pittsburgh gets to move up to the 14th overall pick. This is something Pittsburgh agreed to. That's the change in the draft picks. By the way, Pittsburgh moved up to 14 and selected wide receiver Rome Odunze out of Washington. Don't know Pittsburgh would make that move in reality. We're only doing what the draft board shows us, what the simulator does, and this is a move. So we check down all the way to pick 20. And so now we've got 13 picks. I'm probably not going to pick 13 players, but this is a good spot. Now we're talking about 2 3rd-round picks, 2 4th-round picks, and all those picks in the 5th round and beyond. 2 firsts and a 2nd, 2 3rds, 2 4ths. I'm good. This is sweet. Now I can do whatever I want, especially if the 1st round falls the way I hope it does. And when pick 20 comes up for the Saints, lots of good players to choose from. I'm looking at offensive tackle. I've got Amarius Mims on the board. I've got Tyler Guyton on the board. I've also got the left tackle Jordan Morgan on the board. And I am tempted to grab Morgan with pick 20. But I go ahead and instead, with the 20th overall pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select Amarius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia. He's a right tackle. Some people project he can move to the left. Amarius Mims and Tyler Guyton are 2 of the more athletic tackles. I think Tyler Guyton's got everybody beat as far as athleticism goes. But both of them do have a limited starting in their careers. And I'm going with the overall higher rated player here in Amarius Mims. Don't know if I'm going to move him to left tackle or keep him at right tackle. Got us a big boy for the offensive line. I'm excited. And we're picking 7 picks later. Come pick 27 in the 1st round. This is tough because there are still some great offensive linemen. There's some good defensive linemen. Still a couple of wide receivers I'm interested in. And I go ahead and double dip at offensive line with pick 27 in the 2024 NFL Draft. The New Orleans Saints select Troy Fautanu, offensive lineman out of Washington. Played left tackle last year. He projects to be a great guard. Fautanu is a pretty solid pass protector. And he probably needs a little work on the run. So does Amarius Mims. But we got ourselves two offensive linemen here, and yeah, this is a move that I do a lot. I know we need help on the defensive line. I'm just a little iffy on those smaller edge rushers. Not quite sure. It all depends on who's there and how the board falls. But if I can double dip at offensive line in the first round, I'm pretty excited about this. I expected Fontenot not to be there at the end of the first round. And I was tempted to get a second tackle, too. I believe Ryan Ramczak's going to be fine. I believe he'll probably start 14 out of 17 games for the rest of his contract. And, you know, you'll have to hold your breath before every game day. So having a backup tackle is important. Having a starter on the left side is important. So we've got options now. We have a guy that started at left tackle last year in Fontenot. We've got a massively talented player in Mims who might be able to make that switch. All right. So that's the first round for the Saints. Marius Mims is 6'7", 340 pounds. He's a big boy. You want to talk about the first player off the bus? I think Amarius Mims is the bus. And with Troy Fontenot, you're talking about 6'4", 317 pounds. Questionable run blocker, but I like building up the offensive line again. I believe that was where the biggest struggles came early in the season. Not sure if we're going to re-sign Pete or Hurst. Not sure if we're going to have a lot of money in free agency to play around with, especially since I've traded Lattimore away. But we were behind the eight ball with money anyway. I do hope we address a lot of these needs in free agency. So the second round is about to start. We have pick 45, but I have all of these picks and I can make moves. And I decide to try to get up to the beginning of the second round. New England is picking at 34. I'm at 45. I call New England up, ask them if they'll swap seconds with me, and I'm expecting to give them probably my late fourth round pick or at least a couple of fifth round picks. But the way this site is set up, New England takes the deal, and all I have to give them is a sixth round pick. Now, the points don't add up here. I should be giving them a third round pick and a fifth round pick, or maybe a fourth round pick and a fifth and a sixth. And I'm adding it up on the draft value chart, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm already limiting myself by not trading back. I'm going to go ahead and just take whatever the computer gives me. I'm not going to go ahead and give them three picks. This is the real deal. This is reality. New England's on the phone. They're willing to make the pick. If they want a late fourth, a fifth, and a sixth, I'd probably do it to get that early second. But this is the way it falls. This is what New England deals, the deal that New England agrees to. How can I say no? I make the swap. Now I'm picking at 34 in the second round. And I am very tempted to either take a pretty good wide receiver or a pretty good defensive lineman. And Tyler Guyton, the offensive tackle out of Oklahoma, is still on the board. And that's where I'm going. And I'm crazy for doing this, and I've done it in most of my drafts. But I am stockpiling on high draft picks and mid-round picks with linemen. And offensive line is the way I go here. With pick 34 in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select offensive tackle Tyler Guyton out of Oklahoma. This is a guy that I'm kind of comping to Teron Armstead, super athletic. In Armstead's case, it was a smaller school. In Guyton's case, it's just not a lot of starts under his belt. I think he had 1 year at left tackle, 1 year at right tackle. Maybe he's the guy that can switch to left tackle. I'm thinking, yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put Guyton on the left side. I'm going to have Mims on the right side. I'm going to have Fontenot, who can play center as well, possibly. You never know. Fontenot's a pretty talented player. I'm going to put him at left guard. So we're going to have a new offensive line. Tyler Guyton, Troy Fontenot. We're going to have Eric McCoy and Cesar Ruiz. And then on the right side, we'll have Ramczyk and Amarius Mims. And Trevor Penning, if he wants to learn how to play guard, hey, maybe he can beat out Cesar Ruiz. This is how I do it. Yeah, 3 offensive linemen. I am crazy. I know. You don't have to tell me. I know. So now we've got 3 picks, and we're looking at 2 picks in the 3rd round, 2 picks in the 4th round, 6 picks after that. Still got a ton of picks to mess with. I'm going to call my good friend Terry Fontenot in Atlanta. Would they make a deal with the Saints? Well, I want to get their 43rd pick in the 2nd round. And Atlanta's not going to give it up that easy. They're not going to move down that far for just the 6th round pick. But I have the picks to do it. We're all friends here, right? So Atlanta gives the Saints the 43rd pick in the 2nd round. Atlanta is going to get our 3rd round pick, pick 71, our 5th round pick, pick 170, our 6th round pick, pick 192, and they're also going to get a 6th round pick in 2025. It's a pretty big leap for the Saints to move from pick 71 in the 3rd round to pick 43 in the 2nd round. A big gap for Atlanta. But hey, they get 4 picks out of the deal. Atlanta wants to make this deal. I'm making this deal. It's a done deal. And now we sit with the 43rd pick in the 2nd round. We still have a 3rd rounder and 2 4th rounders to go. And a 5th and 2 6th. Wow. We've got 3 offensive linemen. I'm not going offensive line again. There's a reason I wanted to move up, because there's a player there at 43 who will probably not be there in the early to mid 2nd round in reality. But he's there now, and that's why I'm willing to make the move with Atlanta. I actually thought they were in competition for him too. But with the 43rd pick in the 2nd round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select defensive end edge rusher Braylon Trice out of Washington. Come on. There's no way. Well, this is how the board fell. This is why I'm making the moves. We've got 3 offensive linemen, and now we have Braylon Trice. 6'4", 274. He is on the bigger end for the ends. That's what the Saints usually like to do. I have questions about smaller edge rushes, but I don't have questions about Braylon Trice. Because when I'm talking about getting an edge rusher, the first question I ask is he going to take Carl Granderson's place, or is he going to take Cam Jordan's place? Well, Carl Granderson's got the Pro Bowl numbers. Cam Jordan is the guy who's going to be coming off the field. You get a smaller edge rusher. Cam plays the run in early downs. You bring in the smaller edge rusher. You hope that your high draft pick can get you 8 or 12 sacks. That's what you're hoping when you go and grab a smaller edge rusher. You grab a guy like Braylon Trice, he's going to be the guy that takes Cam Jordan's place in 2 years on that defensive line. I don't know if these smaller edge rushers can do that. I'm confident that Trice can. I'm confident in the move. For linemen, 4 people in the trenches. That's what I do. And that's what I'm doing again. By the way, Tyler Guyton is 6'7", 328 pounds. 6'7", 328. And like I said, when the scouting combine is over, everyone's going to be talking about Tyler Guyton as the most athletic tackle, and he'll likely become a first-round pick after that. It's very possible. But in this draft, he's there with pick 43. I'm stoked. So I wait because I like where we're at in the third round. I've already got 4 great players. And we have pick 84 in the third round. And when that pick comes up, there's a player there I really want. There's a couple I really want. And I'm debating here. And this is the move that's the tough one, the toughest for me. I can grab a big defensive tackle, nose tackle, McKinley Jackson. He's there with pick 84. I can grab him. I'd be really happy. But my favorite nickel cornerback is on the board. It's the third round. He will probably get drafted in the late second or early to mid third. But he's here. And with pick 84 in the 2024 NFL Draft, the Saints' third round pick becomes cornerback Mike Sainristil out of Michigan. He's got the ability to play press man on the outside, but he's not going to do that. He's 5'10", 182 pounds. He runs a 4.45, and he's shown the ability to play on the outside, but because of his size limitation, there's questions. Well, we're not going to ask him to play on the outside. We're going to ask him to play what he dominates at, and that is a nickelback. He had 5 interceptions last year, 6 passes defensed. He's got a nose for the football. When you watch Michigan, Sainristil is the cornerback that's making all the plays out there from all over the place. But as a nickelback, which is what we need, and we need a starter, it doesn't get better than Sainristil in the third round. Wow. I am stoked about this draft. Now, as it is right now, we've got 4 picks left, 5 picks left. And I've got a lot of needs met. But I really want another defensive lineman. So I decide to try to make a move to bounce up. I call the Washington Commanders. They have pick 104 in the fourth round. They are 102 in the fourth round. They're willing to give me pick 102. If I give them 136 in the fourth round and throw in a 6-rounder, pick 188. Washington likes the deal. I love the deal. I think there's a big drop-off in the fourth round from the top to the bottom. Washington's had plenty of draft picks in this draft already. But they're willing to pick up an extra 6, and I'm willing to move up to that spot, pick 102. And there's a couple of defensive tackles there that I like. But with pick 102 in the fourth round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select defensive tackle Michael Hall Jr. out of Ohio State. Michael Hall is 6'2", around 280. So he's your typical 3-tech, which is what Brissy is. Hall shows some ability to play the run, and we struggled against the run. So I don't mind getting another pass rusher and trying to develop them as an overall better defensive tackle. I don't mind grabbing a guy like that in the fourth round. As a matter of fact, if we re-sign Malcolm Roach, which I think we really should, We will technically have according to PFF, we will technically have the best run-stopping defensive tackle in the league this past year. Because according to the numbers, Malcolm Roach was pretty good against the run. But typical of the Saints, to have a guy like Trey Hendrickson on the edge, but you insist on starting Marcus Davenport, and then you end up letting Hendrickson go, and Hendrickson ends up a better player anyway. I think the Saints are doing that right now with Malcolm Roach. I mean, we saw it with Carl Granderson. They had Granderson for 4 years before we decided to make him a starter. I mean, 3.5. And we tried all kinds of other players ahead of him because of the potential, I guess. Well, Cam, Carl Granderson showed them that he's the best. My point being, we go and get Nathan Shepard. We go and get Colin Saunders. These are our free agent defensive tackles. The whole time we have Malcolm Roach. Malcolm can play both defensive tackle spots. And now we're seeing that he was one of the best run stoppers in the league. Yeah, the guy should be starting. Malcolm Roach should have taken Onyemata's spot. We shouldn't have had to go and spend a bunch of money in free agency. And you put Malcolm Roach back on this roster with Colin Saunders and Nathan Shepard, you've got a lot of depth. I think Malcolm Roach should back up Colin Saunders. And now you've got Michael Hall Jr., who's going to play defensive tackle, and back up Brian Bassi. I like it. We've got 5 trench players and a nickelback. I really like it. I think that's what we need. I think we need bodies, and we have them. One thing we also need is a wide receiver in this draft. And I have neglected to grab wide receiver. Instead of grabbing that second offensive tackle, I could have got a wide receiver up there, but I didn't. Because there's a couple of guys later in the draft that I like. And when our second, 4th round pick 120 comes up, I grab one of those wide receivers. With pick 120 in the 4th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select wide receiver Javon Baker out of Central Florida. Javon Baker is participating in the Senior Bowl right now. He was an all Big 12 first team wide receiver. Not bad for a guy out of Central Florida, all Big 12. First team. He averaged 21.9 yards a catch. Had over 1,100 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns this year for Central Florida. 6'1", 208 pounds. He runs a 4.48. Javon Baker showed a lot of stuff at the Senior Bowl. Before the Senior Bowl, he was probably a 5th or 6th round pick. I'm going to go ahead and grab him at the end of the 4th round here. We meet a need with a young player, good size, 6'1", 208. And, now we've got some decent depth. I believe we need a piece at wide receiver. Even though we're going to re-sign Shaheed and we'll have Olave, Perry, and Rashid, I don't trust Perry to be the X guy. I still think we need to go in free agency and grab a veteran, a guy that can be a starter opposite Chris Olave. You might have to pay $6, $7, $8, $10 million to get a guy like that. And then grab a piece in the draft. There's good depth at wide receiver in the draft. It'd be a shame if we don't grab a cornerback, a wide receiver, and an offensive tackle in this draft, and a defensive tackle. Because the draft has a lot of good players at those positions, and we have done that. All right, great. Love it. All right, the 5th round starts. We've got 2 picks left. And when our 5th round pick comes up, I'm excited. I'm running to the board because this is another guy at the Senior Bowl who's showing some stuff. I don't think he's putting his stock into the 3rd round. He's projected to go in the 5th round. And on this site, he's still there. With pick 152 in the 5th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select cornerback Cam Hart out of Notre Dame. That's right, Cam Hart's got a little bit of buzz right now. And he's a pretty good player. 6'2", 209 pounds. Very big cornerback. He runs a 4.45. Now, the Saints love big cornerbacks. The problem with big cornerbacks is they don't have as much flexibility in the hips and all that stuff. So that's the reason why, even though he's big, people are assuming he won't go to the 4th or 5th round. And we go ahead and grab him because we want another outside corner. We got rid of Lattimore. We've got his replacement already with Paulson Adebo and Alontae Taylor. I say we re-sign Isaac Yiadom. We'll have that third outside corner. And now you've got outside corner number 4. Big boy Cam Hart out of Notre Dame. 2 weeks ago, I told you cornerback was not an issue for the Saints. And nickel's a big issue. I stand corrected. I'm talking about drafting a cornerback high, first, second round. I don't want to do that. But we do need to get a nickel back. And you can get a good one in the 3rd, 4th, or 5th round. But if you trade Lattimore, the options for cornerback, it grows. The right guy falls to you in round 2 or round 3, I won't complain. But I'd rather a starting nickel early and then just grab a piece for the outside later, especially since in this scenario in my mind, we've re-signed Isaac Yiadom. So good job here. I'm excited. We've got ourselves 8 draft picks, and I can take this and go home. But I've got one more pick, and that's pick 188. And when that pick comes up, the Rams want to trade up. They have multiple 6th-round picks, and they're serious about moving up. They're at pick 191. I'm at 176. I have all my needs met. There's a couple of guys there that I really like that I could grab, but the Rams are offering me an offer I can't refuse. They're going to give me 2 of their 6th-round picks in exchange for trading up from 191 to 176. So I'm going to get 3 6th-round picks so they can move up. What is this? 25 spots? 25 spots. It's a big jump for the Rams. There's a guy there they really want. By the way, with pick 176, the Los Angeles Rams moved up and gave up all those picks so they could grab quarterback Joe Milton. That happens. And now I have 3 6th-round draft picks. So I can go ahead and grab whatever I want. I've neglected linebacker here. I haven't grabbed the safety yet. There's a couple of quarterbacks you might want to take a chance on. And I haven't grabbed a running back yet. Now, safety is something I really want the Saints to grab because I think in the 4th, 5th round, there's a lot of really good ones there. And when pick 191 comes up in the 6th round, I decide to take a swing on a quarterback. I'm either going to grab the guy out of South Alabama or the guy out of Notre Dame. And I grab, with the 191 pick in the 6th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select quarterback Sam Hartman out of Notre Dame. Sam Hartman, 6'1", 209. He's got 5 years of starting experience. He's 5 years of experience. He's 24 right now, but by the time the season starts, he'll be 25. He's only 6'1". Well, he's got a couple of inches on our backup Hainer right now. When you move up like we did in the 4th round last year to grab a quarterback in Jake Hainer, you kind of expect that guy to at least work out and be a backup. And I don't know if Hainer's going to be a backup or not. I hope. I love Hainer's accuracy. I think his decision-making is good. I think his processing is pretty good. And that's the things I really like about him. The things I don't like about him is he's short. Well, Hartman's not that much taller, and Hartman's been at the Senior Bowl, and he hasn't impressed. He's just been okay. But we go ahead and grab another quarterback. Now we've got a couple of young guys that we can work out and see who's going to be the future backup for this team. I still think we need to address quarterback and free agency, get a veteran backup in here, and now you got your competition for quarterback 3. I like it. Upon further review, I'd probably go with the South Alabama guy because he's 6'3". At least you'd have some quarterback measurables there to work with. We'll see. Got 2 more 6th-round picks, and with pick 216 in the 6th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, this guy should not be here, but for some reason he is still very low on the boards in every mock draft simulator. I like him. I think he shows a lot of potential. He's an edge rusher with pick 216. The New Orleans Saints select edge rusher Xavier Thomas out of Clemson. Now, he projects, in my opinion, to be a linebacker. No way he's playing defensive end. 6'2", 244. He has been comped to Yaya Diaby. Okay. That guy turned out to be a pretty good player for Tampa Bay. I like Thomas. I think Thomas is worth a 4th-round pick, 5th-round pick as a linebacker. Matter of fact, when the mock drafts first started and before people declared and everything else, he was one of the top linebackers coming out. I guess he didn't have a very good season. Maybe there's some injury concerns, whatever the case may be. I don't think Xavier Thomas is going to be here in the 6th round, but he always is. And in this draft, I grab him. So we have us a linebacker. And with the last pick 218 in the 6th round of the 2024 NFL Draft, the New Orleans Saints select running back Jahar Jordan out of Louisville. Jahar Jordan out of Louisville, 5'10", 185 pounds. He's on the light side. I would like for him to have about 15, 20 more pounds on him so you can pound him. But Jordan has a specialty. He runs a 4.3 40. He averages over 6 yards a carry. And this past year, he had 13 rushing touchdowns for Louisville. So the man can make you miss, and the man can sniff the end zone. We've got some big guys already. You know, Jamal Williams he was a lot bigger than he is now, but he's bigger than this. And then, of course, Kendre Miller's excellent size. So we've got some pound and ground running backs on the roster already. We're going to take a chance with Jahar Jordan and have ourselves a nice little scat back option. So there you go. That is the 2024 draft for the Saints. We trade Lattimore at the beginning of the draft. We trade down with Pittsburgh in the 1st round. And we trade down with we trade down with the Rams in the 6th round. And we trade up 3 times. We move up to get a 2nd round pick. We move up to get another 2nd round pick. And we move up to get a better 4th round pick. So all in all, we trade Lattimore and then make 5 more trades during the draft. But when it's all said and done, we end up with 11 players. It's a pretty good haul there for you Saints. Amarius Mims and Tyler Guyton at offensive tackle. Great. Love it. Troy Fontenot, who could play tackle as well, but who's going to make a very good guard. Your offensive line woes are over with. Did you re-sign Andres Pete or James Hurst? I hope you did, because we need some sort of contingency plan. But if you plan on trading Lattimore and moving around, actually trading down in the draft, which the Saints never do, you can acquire pieces. A lot of pieces. There's three of them right there for your offensive line. And in the second round pick, Braylon Trice out of Washington, a big guy that's going to play defensive end and who has edge rushing ability. He's one of the best edge rushers in the class. Okay, so I like that. I like getting a big end. I like someone that's going to play the defensive line, more than just on third downs. A guy who's good against the run and the pass. Imagine that. It's typical Saints style. But yeah, I want a defensive end that's going to replace Jordan. In the third round, you get your nickelback, the best one in the draft, in my opinion. There's 4, 5, 6 other guys that you can mess with later on. But yeah, if you move around and gather pieces, then you can actually go and grab the best players there. I'm sick of our general manager Loomis saying, "Why would we trade down and settle on lesser players? We're going to move up and grab the best players." You're going to move up and you'll end up with 4 or 5 players in a draft. That's the reason why we're the oldest team in the league. And when Loomis acts like the statement, "the Saints are the oldest team in the league," is subjective, yeah, that's when you know he's lying to you. No, it's an objective fact. Loomis, you're a liar. So move around in the draft and get some good players. Yeah, Sanger's still. He's not going to be drafted in the first round, but he's the best nickelback in the draft. And because we made these moves, we had the picks to acquire him. In the fourth round, you grab a backup defensive tackle. You grab a good wide receiver. In the fifth round, you get that fourth cornerback that can play press man on the outside, a big body, like it. And in 3 6-round picks, I think the linebacker is going to work out great. Sam Hartman's going to push Hayner for that third quarterback spot, in my opinion. And Jawhar Jordan, man, can make you miss. Got speed. Speed. We don't have a lot of speed at the running back position. So there you go. I love it. That's the draft. Subscribe to Rosenfield 10 for more Saints videos. I will be talking about the offensive coordinator hire. Right now, the buzz is that we've agreed to terms with Clint Kubiak, who's got a Super Bowl to play this weekend. Well, until that pen meets the paper and this thing is done, I'm not celebrating at all. And you won't get an update on that until it's official from me. But subscribe. And until then, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?